Hello there. So my name is Jackson, and I identify as genderqueer and trans. Um, Trans masculine as a trans boy, a tranny boy, boy with an I. Um, and today I wanted to um, just kind of do like a trans 101. I'm gonna do like a basic run through with that and just throw out some definitions and stuff. And um, so sorry if it's real boring. um, so to get started, transgender, um, and what it involves. So first off, you gotta know the difference between sex and gender. Sex is like what the doctor says you are when you're born, and it's pretty much based on whether or not you have a penis. Whereas gender is a person's sense of being masculine, feminine, um, butch, let's see, femme, trans, both, all, multi, or neither. And this can actually match one's physical anatomy, but oftentimes it actually doesn't. And so that's gender. And gender is completely socially constructed. And so gender expectations and gender roles in different cultures are different than they are in Western culture. And then, so like a gendered body refers to hormones, secondary sex characteristics, and genitalia. So like the gender of a body. Gender expression is how someone expresses their gender through clothing styles, hair, mannerisms, um, makeup or lack thereof, the names that we call ourselves, um, speech like inflection and the words that we use, pronouns that we use, things that we do such as jobs, classes, sports, activities, and even who we might hang out with is part of our gender expression. Um, let's see. And then gender cues are what people use to attempt to tell the gender or sex of another person. And again, that's based on like their hairstyle, their gait, or how they walk, vocal inflection, body shape, facial hair, etc. And of course, like I said, since gender varies by culture, gender cues also vary by culture. So those are some basic definitions. And then I just wanted to cover like the transgender umbrella and who can be considered transgender. Definitely, it's very important to respect identities and self-labels, and so you want to keep that in mind. And let me just cover cisgender. Now, cisgender obviously does not fall under the transgender umbrella. It is anybody who's not trans is cis, or anybody cis isn't trans. A cisgender person is someone who feels comfortable with the gender identity and gender expression expectations assigned to them based on their physical sex. So there's that. The basic definition of transgender, it's a term used to describe those who transgress social gender norms. It's often used as an umbrella term to mean those who defy rigid binary gender constructions and who express or present a breaking and or blurring of culturally prevalent stereotypical gender roles. And the term trans includes but is not limited to transsexuals, intersex people, bigenders, no genders, androgens, crossdressers, gender benders, gender queers, feminine men, masculine women, shapeshifters, transvestites, and even two-spirit people. Trans folk, trans person, and trans people and trannies are often casual terms used to refer to people who identify as trans or gender variant. And just a side note, trannies is definitely an insider word. If you are not part of the community, it's often seen as a derogatory term with transsexual. So a transsexual is someone who identifies psychologically as a gender or sex other than the one to which they were assigned at birth. Transsexuals often wish to transform their bodies hormonally and surgically to match their inner sense of gender or sex. So these are your F to M's and M to F's that go through hormone replacement therapy and typically have at least top surgery, if not bottom surgery as well. So an androgen is a person appearing and or identifying as neither man or woman, presenting a gender either mixed or neutral. Gender variant or genderqueer is a person who either by nature or choice does not conform to gender-based expectations of society. Someone whose gender identity is neither male or female, is somewhere in between or beyond genders, or is some combination of genders. A great one is the gender fuck. Someone who intentionally plays with gender cues to purposely confuse quote-unquote standard or stereotypical gender expression, usually through clothing, but not always. And then you have your drag performers. And drag is an exaggerated performance and dress of a gender, opposite or not, typically done by gay men and lesbians, but not always. There's straight cis people that can do drag. Trans folks can do drag of their gender identity. You have bigender, a person whose gender identity is a combination of male or man and female or woman, or any two gender identities really. Then you have your cross-dressers, someone who wears clothing of another gender or sex, and this may or may not be for sexual gratification. Let's see. A gender bender is someone who dresses or acts in an androgynous manner. Pangender, a person whose gender identity is comprised of all or many gender expressions. Let's see. And then two-spirit. Now, two-spirit is, if used by someone that's not Native American, is a culturally appropriated word, because a two-spirit are Native persons who have attributes of both male and female genders. They have a distinct gender and social roles in their tribes and are often involved with mystical rituals. They're oftentimes shamans. Their dress is usually a mixture of male and female articles, and they are seen as a separate or third gender. And the term is usually considered specific to the Zuni tribe. So just know that if you ever think to label yourself as two-spirit and you're not Native American, you might want to go with like by gender or something. So that's definitely not all the different labels that can be that fall under the transgender umbrella. It's definitely up to the person on if they identify as trans, and even people that fall under like, by definition, I would be transsexual, but I don't identify with that label. Like I said, I identify with genderqueer and transgender. A trans boy with an I, so TRANSBOI, or just a boy. But that's my gender label, and not everyone, like, just because I may look a certain way doesn't mean that I identify a certain way. And so if you don't know, you can either not know, or you can get to know the person and figure out some way to respectfully ask if they're willing to tell you. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, sorry for the boring education. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Bye.